Hey, it is 6:30. Oh, we're ready? Yeah, okay. This is a meeting of the Templeton Conservation Commission, Monday. Oh, okay.
One more time.
One more time. This is a meeting of the Templeton Mass Conservation Commission, Monday, April 14th, 2025, is 6:30 PM. At the Town Hall, 160 Patriots Road, East Templeton Conference Room. Okay,
Can I make a statement? I just have to say that, no new information was provided at the last public meeting of February 10th for the two continued NOIs. So Amanda did not need to fill out a Mullen Rule cert and is welcome to vote on these topics if that should occur tonight. Thank you.
okay. Let's go to number one, review of the meeting minutes for 2/10/25. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
I make a motion to approve the meetings from 2/10/25. I second the motion.
Any discussion?
Any discussion? No?
Hearing none on a motion to approve the minutes as written. How do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yes,
Christoph?
Aye.
Very good.
done. Okay,
Number two.
number two. Is filing a no NOI file number is pending, continued from last month. Patriots Road 20720-8.8 for the construction of a driveway across a wetland and the installation of a septic system within the buffer zone.
Can I get a motion to reopen this public hearing?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
No discussion, on a motion to reopen the public hearing. How do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Christoph?
Aye.
We are open, 6:32. I got a request from Mr. Machete, if we could please continue this topic to the May Conservation meeting, please.
I'll make a motion to continue.
I'll second it.
On a motion to move this topic to May's meeting, how do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yep.
Christoph?
Aye.
Very good. You can read number 3.
Okay. We're now ready for number 3. Okay, notice of intent 3040397 continued 66 Rainbow Drive at the Templeton Fish Game Club with the construction of a 20 by 20 foot deck within the 50-foot buffer zone of a wetland known as Partridgeville Pond.
Can I get a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Dave, thank you. On the motion to reopen the public hearing, how do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Ann?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yes,
Christoph?
Aye.
The meeting is reopened, and with us this evening, we have Charlie Carroll, who will just give the commission an overview of why you're here and what the NOI is about, and most of them saw the site.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, so as you know, I'm requesting the NOI, looking to construct the deck off the backside of the cottage along the side of the pond. So kind of here looking for, what my, the board's recommendations are and what's required. So sorry, it's been a long time coming, but we're getting there.
We have been continuing this topic because we were waiting for a complete application. Charlie did give me some of the notifications to abutters, but not all. He's confident he can get the rest of those to me. So
They were notified, I just don't have proof of notification, so
Right.
I just have to get the signatures. and that, so yes.
So I would recommend to continue it to May's meeting, get the rest of the complete application and make the decision there. But while we have Charlie here, this is a great opportunity to ask him any questions about the project.
anybody else on top?
Amanda, anything?
Yeah, so I noticed that the DEP mentioned in their comments that erosion controls should be depicted on the final approved plan. Can you just make sure you doodle those on there before the next meeting?
Sure, I could definitely do that.
This deck is this 4x4s or
6 by
8x8?
6s,
6x6?
yes.
Do they have a concrete
Pier,
tapered footing, pier,
yes,
okay, I'm just curious.
sure, yep.
Any other discussion?
Does it work for you to continue the
Sure.
thing to May?
Sure, no problem at all. Yep, that's fine.
And if it works for you, Jessica, I think.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to move it to the following month.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Joanne, on any discussion? To move Charlie's topic to May conservation meeting, in order for him to complete the notifications to abutters, how do you vote? Amanda?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Christoph?
Aye.
Very good, Charlie.
Great, thank you very much.
Very well.
See you next month. You also, take care.
I know.
See you, Tom.
Take care.
Okay, now we'll go into minor modifications. 304-0386, 198 Patriots Road.
Yep, so for this, we have Chris York, the engineer for the project from GPI. He's present via Zoom. I'm gonna pass these down so you can see what he's talking about. I have three, so one of you share. Chris, what do you want to do? Do you want me to start reading your letter, or do you want to do an intro?
Sure, you want to read the letter, I can bring up,
Let's
I
do
can-
that. Okay.
I can bring up the plan on the screen too.
Perfect. All right, so we have, dear board members, on behalf of our client, Energy North Group, we are requesting a minor modification request for the previously approved notice of intent at 198 Patriots Road. We previously filed a minor modification request on March 28th, 2024, which was approved by the commission at your April 8th, 2024 hearing. The updated plans incorporate the following minor changes. The concrete pad adjacent to the proposed storage tanks has been moved to the northerly side of the tank enclosure. The concrete pad is located within an existing paved area, so there is no increase in impervious area. The pad is necessary to provide extra support for the delivery vehicles. Some minor grading is proposed in this area as the concrete pad needs to be as flat as possible. Number two, the existing fenced-in area at the rear of the site will continue to be utilized as a storage for empty propane tanks. The updated plans show the fence to be expanded to the limits of the existing gravel surface. And three, a pole barn has been added to the plans, but this is located outside the 100-foot buffer zone. If you have any questions or need information, please contact me. Chris York. You're up.
All right. So we'll go from 3 to 1. So if the pole barn is located, is it outside the 100-foot buffer zone? That's just basically an open air shed, just so they can store some of their propane tanks. So, and then number 2, so the existing area out back that is currently fenced in, they just want to expand it basically to hug the existing tree line, go out to where the end of the pavement is, and then hug the tree line on the westerly side. So just a bigger fenced in area. Number 1, the proposed concrete pad originally was located here on the westerly side. But once we kind of realized that the trucks would make their deliveries and stop down here, we moved it to the northerly side. So like I said, it's within existing pavement. There's no new impervious proposed. And there's just I guess I can go to the grading plan just to show some minor grading in this area, just so this concrete pad is as flat as possible. We show a proposed saw cut line. This area would be repaved as part of the whole process. So that's it. I think
May
pretty
I-
simple.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
We did do a pre-construction visit with you earlier this month. Myself and George the chair was able to attend. And I did request that you add a berm to the plans, and I want to just point that out to the commission that I
Sure.
highlighted that for y'all in yellow. The berm was so that the crushed stone didn't go, it's steep. I didn't want it to go over and go down into the wetlands. So he included that in the plans as well.
Great.
Just as a little safety net.
That makes
Yes.
sense.
Yep. Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot all about that.
You're so welcome.
Okay.
So yeah, just all along the back of the enclosure. We extended it down a little bit outside just so everything kind of pitches from west to east. So it'll hit the curbing and just continue on where it's going now. The low point of the site's pretty much right in here.
So no further, or no additional impervious surface area to the plans as previously approved.
Correct.
I'm just gonna give the commission a few minutes to look over the plans. I highlighted the changes that you spoke of.
Yep.
The three that Chris spoke of are in orange, and then the curbing highlighted in yellow, so you can see where those are.
Is that a chain link fence proposed?
Yep, 8-foot tall chain link fence.
Just so
Special permit.
kangaroos can't get over it. Yeah. Retail deer.
8-foot tall fences need a building permit, just to tell your client.
Okay.
7 foot and lower doesn't need a building permit.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Well,
I get a question.
Yeah.
Under the tanks, is that stone, crushed stone?
yeah,
Yeah.
Chris, Dave is asking about the stones underneath the tank. What is the size and material for planning to be used?
And so they were intending on using basically, 3/4 inch to 1.5 inch crushed stone. So this entire area would be crushed stone within the fenced in area, under the tanks.
That's why I requested the berm, because I figured that they were on the smaller side. Didn't want to get them back down there.
Okay, well, yeah,
And I think
because a bigger stone would stay put.
the bigger stones, I don't think we're gonna compact very well, was
They
their
wouldn't,
argument.
they wouldn't compact well. Yeah, 3/4 to inches, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Amanda, any questions for Chris?
No, I looked it over when you sent it via email, and it looks like it's minor enough that I don't think we need to issue any sort of amended order of conditions.
What I would do is if you were to approve the minor modification request tonight, I would draft him a letter. So he has it in his record and we would have it in our file too, that we accepted these changes as minor.
Make a motion that we accept the minor modifications request.
I second.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion and a second to approve the minor modification request as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none. How do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Christoph?
Aye.
Good. So, Chris York, I will get that letter over to you via email.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, everyone.
Welcome.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you guys don't want those packets, I'll take them back. Mr. Andrews, number 5.
Number 5, OOC 304-0376. Extension request for the Riverside Road Bridge project.
This request was put on the agenda by me. Is gonna expire, like in 4 days. And I went down there in the fall with the Gardner Conservation Agent, and the bridge is sitting there. They just haven't done it yet. And I would hate to see this
And move
run
it,
out. Bessie got contracted to take out the old bridge and literally put the new bridge in place, and it just hasn't been done yet. So I would hate for those residents to have to go through the whole process again when everything's just ready to go. No one's just done it. So I guess the reason would be just delay.
Will it be done this year?
That, I talked to Bessie in the fall and the Gardner Conservation Agent, and it was supposed to be done in the fall, so I will follow up with them again. I will call Bessie. And see
I'm just wondering if we give them an extension for 1 year.
instead of 3.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, I'm fine with whatever.
Well, it gets the project done and closed out.
Whatever you guys want.
Is that what a normal extension is? 3 years?
Yeah.
The maximum's 3 years.
Oh.
And usually an order of conditions lasts 3 years.
Really?
We've had it 3 years and the bridge has been sitting there for 3 years. So it could have been moved by now.
Yeah,
Do they need to file anything to get that extension?
no. It
Okay.
does, the extension permit doesn't require any signatures in order to submit it.
Cool, I'll make a motion to extend the order of conditions for 304-0376.
Do you want it 1 year or 3?
It doesn't really matter.
You made the
What does
motion.
everybody else think?
Dave wants it 1 year.
I'm good with 1 year.
So
Make
it
sure
would
they
be-
get it done.
It would go to 4/19/26 then.
Perfect.
I'll make a second.
Second from George. Any further discussion? Okay, on a motion made by Amanda to extend the order of conditions with a new expiration date of 4/19/26, so that's a 1 year extension. How do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Christoph? Hold on, Mr. Andrews, I'm gonna pass.
Oh, I know. I was just reading what I could do. What's on that account.
Dave, did you want to sign? I gave it to you, you passed it right to George. Amanda, I do not believe I need your signature immediately. I have a quorum, but if you come by the office, you're welcome to sign it.
Yeah, I'll be around Friday. We can
Okay,
figure something out.
Mr. Andrews, number 6.
Number 6 is another OOC 304-0368. Extension request for Queen Lake Road project.
Okay, so this one I did get notification from Carol Ackerman, the property owner. This is the same property that we went out to in the fall. She had a forest cutting plan that was tandem with this one that, it didn't overlap. She has built a cottage, but her plans call for the cottage, the main house, the barn, the garage, and the driveway. So she ain't close. She had run into, financial obstacles, and she is requesting the 3 years because we cannot give her a COC until she matches the plans that we approved. And right now, we've just got a cottage.
Is that the one across from Dave Pease?
It is,
Yeah.
it's right at the, 5 corners there.
She wanted all that stuff on that field?
Yeah. It's a cottage, a main house, a barn, a garage, and then a turnaround driveway. And right now she's got
The cottage? Okay.
So all of that is on the plans that we approved
Yeah.
under the order of conditions, so we couldn't give her a COC, it doesn't match. So she is requesting the full 3 years.
Isn't she like a year overdue with her expiration?
No,
Oh, okay.
it was, May 19th, 2022. Plus 3 years is May 19th, 2025, which is next month.
Yep.
Yeah. So she's requesting it 3 years to 2028.
So just for my own knowledge and the knowledge of the board, if her financial obstacles remain 3 years from now, what is her option? She has to go back and reapply for the whole process again?
So an order of conditions is recorded with the registry of deeds.
Mhm.
It's essentially an open permit on her property. So if she doesn't get a COC, that order of conditions remains open. It could cause hangups if she were to ever sell the property. Other things may be unrelated. Conservation wise, she couldn't get a building permit because she would need my sign off that she has no open conservation rights.
So how would she rectify that?
She has to,
If she can't afford to build, if somebody
Oh.
couldn't afford to do what was on there, how do you get out of that? You reapply with conservation we've changed the plans
oh,
now?
I understand your question now.
Yeah.
Mr. Andrews, have you ever had that in your history?
We have never
before?
had that in our history, no. And I can remember you, Joan? No. And Joanne and I, David, been a lot of years on the commission.
Haven't run into that yet,
No, that's
But
one thing
the-
we ain't run into.
but probably the blueprint of the whole thing would have to be altered.
Done over and then almost
then
open a new
anything-
NOI.
Well,
Any new
Yeah.
stuff. that
can't
the
do a new
buyer-
NOI. We learned that with CarWorks, right?
Right,
Can't do an NOI on top of an NOI. So they would have to come up with new plans.
And amend the existing.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be minor like the one we just did.
It'll
It
be a
would be,
major amendment.
right.
Unless she's reducing the entire project to just include the cottage, then since she's not taking over more of a resource area, we might consider it minor.
but we're forecasting. She has not
Yeah,
indicated
no, I know.
that.
Yeah.
Requesting the 3 years.
We might come across this at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can make a motion to grant her the request for her open NOI on 3040368.
3-year extension.
I can do it.
Amanda, did you second that?
Yeah.
Okay. So on a motion to extend the order of conditions, is it okay to say new expiration date of 5/19/28? That's
Yep.
3 years. Okay. On that motion, how do you vote, Amanda?
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Christoph,
Yes.
very good. Here you go. Same spiel with that one, Amanda. Oh, she left.
No, she put a thumb up.
Right
She was
here.
here.
Okay, good. Number 7.
We ready? Okay. River's Edge cleanup project.
Oh, just say agent updates. And I'll do all my stuff.
Oh, okay. Now, you want me to do 8? You want me to do
No,
that?
no, 7.
Yep.
Agent updates. Okay, so here's my updates. The first is the Park and Rec Play Group will be doing a cleanup event at River's Edge on May 17th. Number 2, Development Services has planned an Earth Day cleanup event for Tuesday, April 22nd at 8 a.m. at the Otter River Pool, aka Crotty Ave Dam. And residents are welcome to join. Both of those locations are conservation buffer zone locations.
Right.
Update for you all on the violation letter that was issued to 58 Main Street for the household sewage on the lawn. After a site visit that Joanne joined me at, no enforcement order was necessary, thankfully. It was outside of the buffer zone, but there is still reclamation that needs to occur. And I wrote the property owner a follow-up reclamation letter that I emailed you all. You should know that the Board of Health agent is still working with the landowner regarding the violations and the corrections. So. any of you have any questions during my updates, just interrupt me. Next, an amended forest cutting plan was received for Shady Lane. I received a call from the state forester, Chris Capone, today, and he went out there and it's wrapping up today. Next, the sewer pipe appeal. 3040389. It is still in the hands of Mass DEP. I appeared at the select board meeting last week to answer any questions that were to arise pertinent to article number 7, which I think is now article number 6. It's the surplus sewer easement on the draft warrant. You should all know that the select board voted to move the approval of the town meeting warrant to their next meeting of April 23rd. So I do not have an update for you if it is on the warrant or not yet. I will report back. Next, we received our yearly letter from the Berkshire and Eastern Railroad saying that they will be performing their yearly railroad herbicide application. It will occur between May 1st and October 31st. None of you look shocked. Here's some good news. Effective April 9th, the Massachusetts Central Region has finally been downgraded to a level 1 mild drought status following 2 months of finally above normal precipitation. So we are almost out of the woods. My last update is that the enforcement order for CarWorks has been added to your May agenda. I have, the applicants have already started reaching out to me, confirming that they're actively working on accomplishing the original plans as accepted. You should probably be prepared for a site visit before your May meeting for that one.
Will they let us know when they're ready or let you
Yes.
know?
Yep, I saw Miss LeGrave today, and she knows that the meeting is May 19th. We need an as-built before then, and a site visit before then. He's aware. Yep. Any questions, comments, concerns, general statements? Very good. Mr. Andrews, you want to read number 8?
Number 8.
You wanna take one and pass?
Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act response letter to the Gardner Sludge.
I was gonna do the joke.
Landfill expansion project. We are represented by Derek Griffith of the Templeton Select Board. Would you like to join us?
I just invited them to
I'm
the front
excited.
row so we could have more of a conversation related to such.
Kevin, thank you so much. It's so important.
No, I really didn't prepare anything to say. Is there,
It's okay.
but I'll give you, would you like a background?
Sure, I do want a background. I have printed for them a map of the location that you're talking about. And I printed out the section in the select board agenda that you referenced, the letter and all that back.
Okay.
So that's all that they have to look at.
I mean,
So,
I'm not sure how much time you all have. Want to put into this. I would like to take my time and be thorough because it, to my knowledge, and Scott's here, which I'm grateful for. Aquifers could be at stake in this area. If there's anything, so I'll give a background. So Adam wrote, and I think the date is wrong on here. He did write to Mayor Nicholson asking questions about the Gardner Sludge landfill expansion and the present Gardner Sludge landfill. One has, the present one has 33 exceedances, and the future sludge landfill will come around 1,385 feet of our Otter River. And he didn't receive a response back. And I had gotten some texts from residents. One was And I printed off the swap report. One was concerned about the aquifer because there's no clay barrier. It's in our zone 2 wells over there or in the aquifer. I have to,
The Otter River well?
yeah. In the aquifers. So I don't have all my head around everything because I'm not, like Mike pointed out, an expert, but what I was led to believe is our aquifers and our zone 2 wells are in question. So I just have been,
First of all, we don't have wells in zone 2. Wells are only in zone 1.
okay,
So well 2 is just like a buffer zone around the well 1.
zone,
And zone 1 where the wells are. Yeah.
and is that adjacent to this project?
Zone, I'd have to look.
Okay,
Well
so.
1 is not, well 2 maybe.
Okay, so that triggered, there's a Massachusetts Environmental, Protection Act. And I went to some meetings in Gardner and listened, and there was enough, questions to make, for a draft environmental impact report where you could write in, I don't have all my facts right, but so we wrote a letter in generated by Mike. I can read it, and we got a response after 2 years. So first they did an environmental impact report, and we went through it, and it wasn't, there was enough people writing in to say, okay, we need to take it further.
So Ms. Griffiths, that's the letter that's in their packets.
Yeah. Is it the one from Mike, the first one?
Yep, the December 2022 that you wrote to Secretary Card. And it's
Right,
signed-
it was, yeah.
Yep, and it's signed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 select board members. It would be the second to last page in your packet, or yes, the last page in your packet, actually.
That was, what was that?
Oh.
Yeah. Mhm.
The chair of the select board at the time.
So Tim was chair. Apparently Mike said he generated the letter, not Tim, but to make a long story short, it took 2 years. Woodard and Curran are the engineers, and they had to go back to the city of Gardner to get more money to answer everybody's questions on how safe is this project. It's a 17-year fix for their sludge landfill, and some people think they need it because for whatever reason, they think they need it. And what I tried to do was write a response letter, and that's what brings me here, is because Mike thinks it, and I think it was okay. I don't think it was great. So one of the questions, and I wish Rich Curtis was here, is I think we need to be more specific of what we're looking for from the city of Gardner. And I know Joanne has some concerns and knows a little bit about it. She wrote in, I wrote in. One of the things they wanted us to do in the last part, if you look,
Ms. Griffiths,
so-
mind if I give a little, if I interject a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So, at the Templeton Select Board meeting, what was it, April 9th, was it last week?
Yep.
Terry read her comment letter to the select board and to the public. And the general consensus was that, the select board supports Ms. Griffiths in writing a comment letter during the comment period to Gardner, but they encouraged her to go speak to the town's subject matter experts, including the Conservation Commission, the Water Department, and Rich Curtis, who is Templeton's Emergency Management Department head.
Right, he's working on our hazard mitigation plan, and part of their response was to put it as a hazard mitigation. The new one and the old one should be on our hazard mitigation radar.
So at that meeting, the rest of the select board encouraged her to go speak to the Conservation Commission. And I invited her to this meeting and invited Scott Schwinger, who is the water superintendent. I also invited Rich Curtis, who is on another meeting right now, but he said that he's welcome to talk to you directly after this meeting, if you know, at another time that he couldn't make to this one. So Ms. Griffiths is here because she has in your packets a comment letter that she would like to submit to Gardner during the comment period. And we're here to either provide input and thus support for her letter, or no input and
Is this,
no support, if that's how you feel. But
Is it-
she was sent to us by the select board to look for input and potentially support if it be warranted. So that is why she is here, based off of the comment letter, which is the second page in your packet.
I could read both. I mean, my first question or ask of you guys is in their response. So in Mike's letter, he put with, let me make sure I find it, with respect. So Mike's letter is dated to Secretary Card, even though it's Rebecca Tepper now on December 28th. And then the last paragraph, I might go backwards here. With respect to mitigation, we would petition the project owners to offer a hazard mitigation plan reviewed by experts and selected emergency management officials that is based in likelihood and severity of possible containment breach. So the problem with what Woodard and Curran's replies are, is they are banking on nothing going wrong. That they think they have all the checks and balances in place. I can give you the language in their reports if you want me to give you the language that indicates that, and it's in their response letter to us as well. So I copied that in the last page of my write back. We reiterate our need for the city. Tim made the correction, the city of Gardner offer a detailed hazard mitigation plan. Now, this is where what I thought afterwards, once the gears are rolling, it's like giving birth, and then we're gonna have a good letter and we're gonna get the right response, hopefully.
excuse me,
Sorry.
Miss Griffiths, I'm totally in the dark here, but are we talking about a sludge landfill in Gardner?
Yes,
On one side.
they want to expand, Christoph, 8.75 acres through the,
Into Templeton?
no, by the
So we're
time
talking
they're
about
done,
the
it'll
city
be
of Gardner.
1,385 feet near the Otter River. And
Okay.
there are zone 2 wells, and there are private residents that wrote in.
But from a conservation board in Templeton, we might have opinions, but I don't know that we have any. What we're regulating in the Wetlands Protection Act has nothing to do with another town, nor does it have anything to do with that's 1,200 feet away from a river.
Right, if I can speak for a moment.
Yeah.
And you are correct, we have no say over
We
that.
have no regulation.
But I want to bring to your
Correct,
attention
right.
the enforcement order the Gardner Conservation Commission has against the Gardner landfill. Currently, without the expansion, there's 33, what is it, Terry?
Exceedances and
Exceedances.
4 for 1,4-dioxane.
Right, and one of them is 1,4 dioxane, which is a known carcinogen. Okay, so what they've told us, well, we need to get add to our hazard mitigation plan. What does that say to you guys? I know what it says to me. It's not a matter of if, but when. And we need to be on the defensive. This is a hydrologic problem going on, as everything is seeping into the wetlands, into Gardner. And from there, it's headed right for the Otter River, which, what town's gonna get hit the worst? Templeton. We're the closest to it. So we really do have to be on the defensive, and I strongly support that the water department start testing. In the least, it will
We
get
test all the time.
for 1,4 dioxane.
I'd have to look at the report.
And at least Scott would give us a baseline. Because if our wells get contaminated, we're sunk. I went to the Board of Selectmen back in 2022 and expressed my concerns then. Okay, so we have the, exceedances going on with the present landfill. this is on them expanding, and they can't even control the contamination that's coming out of the existing. So I think as a commission, looking over the information that we have here, and I did tell them at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, Conservation Commission's not an expert on this.
Hmm.
But we are protectors of the water resources. And this is what's happening. We're aware of it. And I would say to vote to support Terry's letter. Comments. I mean,
I think it sounds like it may be something the town of Templeton has to consider, and if the Board of Selectmen is considering it, that's wonderful, and thank you. And Scott, I'm sure as the water department, you obviously know what's going on, but I don't think there's anything that this board can do or comment. If we each have a
Well-
personal opinion, I don't disagree with your personal opinion. You obviously know more about it than I do, Joanne, but there's nothing the board can act on to support
No.
or not support something in Gardner, where the Templeton Conservation.
whoa. Because anyone can comment on this draft environmental impact report, anybody.
Can I-
Understand.
Anybody can, okay? So now we've been provided with information that, and I mean, unless you want to read that report, which is like 500 pages long, which I have been privy to some of it. I haven't read the whole thing. Scott, have you read it?
Not the whole thing, no.
Okay,
So I
So,
kind of touched on the things that were.
but you know who has? You know who has? Terry. Terry has read the whole thing. And I definitely, I would vote that the Conservation Commission support her comment letter for the, on behalf of the town, definitely.
I would be happy to have my own opinion, but I.
So let me read
I
my
would
letter and
support
maybe
something
that'll answer
from the
Christos.
conservation.
Do you? Let me read my letter. You might
So,
see
so why
something
don't you
about it.
read the letter that we're all here for?
Okay.
Could you do that?
So my letter is, Dear Secretary Tepper, we, the Select
Page
Board of Templeton, Mass, are writing in response to the DEIR prepared by Woodard and Curran for the city of Gardner about the Gardner Sludge Landfill Expansion, EEA number 16643, published in the Environmental Monitor on 3/26/25. Our concerns continue to mount about the potential threat to our wells, wetlands, and air quality. The technical certainties of this project are not a guarantee regarding hazards or exceedances that may occur as evidenced in the current Landfills Conservation Commission enforcement order relative to discharges to a bordering vegetated wetland. That was one of the things you just mentioned. The DEIR describes an elaborate stormwater management system in section 6.4, but it lacks substance in the event of an actual failure to stormwater as evidenced in section .7 impact summary statement quoted below. The increased capacity of the project to manage stormwater would limit potential pollution or sedimentation of downstream water resources and present impacts to the surrounding natural community communities. Therefore, there are no stormwater related impacts anticipated. How is that?
With the project.
With the project, they're saying that. Oh, we don't think it's gonna fail ever.
Right.
So my point is, limit doesn't mean eliminating altogether, and potential indicates there's still a risk. Therefore, is the city of Gardner prepared to fund corrective action in response to an actual contamination incident? We are also aware of the groundwater monitoring system presented in section 5, but what is unclear is the detailed plan to notify the town of Templeton's town administrator, select board office, should exceedances be found in the landfills monitoring wells. From reading the DEIR, it is still unclear that protective actions or procedures will take place in the event of contamination of Templeton's water. It is also unclear if the city of Gardner is responsible for financial costs in the event of contamination to our public and private drinking water wells. Is the city of Gardner Is the city insured or bonded in the event of a catastrophe? Currently, there are 33 exceedances happening in its present state-of-the-art, now closed solid waste landfill that are without remedy. As a butters, Templeton Board of Health, Water Department, and Select Board should be updated on a regular basis with regard to these landfill systems. Our drinking water quality depends on it. About tracking air quality, we find section 7.7 and section 7.8 to be antiquated. This project fails to utilize available technologies for odor detection, putting people at risk. Automated detection systems which report or track air quality measurements such that the city would be required to take immediate action without relying on or putting the public at risk should be in place before gaseous odors become a problem. People are getting sick. People in Templeton have written into this, Christoph, and I went to church with Mike yesterday.
Go on.
Okay. So overall, we find this report to be inconclusive and dismissive of our concerns regarding risk mitigation. We reiterate our need for the city of Gardner to offer a detailed hazard mitigation plan, and this is where I think I would change it, reviewed by our experts and selected management officials that is based on the likelihood and severity of a possible containment breach. We wish to keep our residents safe and informed of potential threats to their drinking water, wetlands, and air. Thank you for your attention to detail in this matter. And I can thumb through the Templeton residents that wrote into the MEPA process if you would like me.
What I would like to do is I would like to go through your letter, and I would like to kind of delve in a little bit more and speak on the topics that the Conservation Commission is appropriate to speak on and the things that maybe we're not, if that's okay.
I'm grateful.
All right.
I'm grateful for it.
All right, so the first paragraph, we the select board, blah, blah, blah. So you're writing this letter on behalf of the select board. They told you, they gave your support in writing this. I would say that the next paragraph from our concern all the way to your, limit doesn't mean eliminating. This is pretty much a conservation section. This is the section that if anything, that we would have an opinion on whether we support or not as a group. I read this and I'm adding Joanne and Christoph together. I think that the Templeton Conservation Commission would align with Gardner's Conservation Commission's enforcement order, meaning we support what they're doing over there.
Sure.
I'm not telling that commission what to do. They're not telling us to. They're doing their due diligence over there. So to kind of add what the two of you are saying together, I would kind of focus, and I can give you some notes afterwards if you'd like, but I would almost make that first paragraph of conservation and wetlands, that the Templeton Conservation Commission aligns with the Gardner Conservation Commission's enforcement order relative to discharge to the bordering vegetative wetlands. Making it more like that, us supporting Gardner's Conservation Commission and the actions that they're taking.
So
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think
it doesn't fit though.
It doesn't, and the reason why is these are comments to the draft environmental impact
Right.
report for
Right.
the expansion.
So I would go more with making this a comment letter, whereas I read this like 10 times today. I
Okay.
feel like you're asking a lot of questions. Like even at the end of these three, you say, therefore, is the city of Gardner prepared to fund? It feels like to me, you're looking for them to like provide you an answer, and I'm not sure you're gonna get one. So you
We
really
didn't.
want to, right, so you want to make this a comment letter. This should be like we, the Conservation Commission, we the select, whoever's writing it, this is what we want you to know. Versus all the questions, I'm not sure you're gonna get answers.
That's the point. How do we phrase it so that we do? For instance, that especially the mitigation part, like the way Mike phrased it, we didn't get a plan. So
Right.
how do we get a plan?
Well,
They're
to-
telling us it's up to you.
To
If
what you and Joanne are
you
saying,
need
this is
to-
an open comment period where anybody can comment. If you want to comment, that's what you should be doing. You should be commenting that, that the Templeton Conservation Commission aligns with the Gardner Conservation's enforcement order, so that they know that the Gardner Conservation Commission has the Templeton Conservation Commission support in that way. Like Christoph was saying, that's their jurisdiction. That's what they're doing. We support what they're doing. We support that they issued them an enforcement order because of the
Absolutely,
CPIP,
but
stuff
the
like that,
the enforcement order
Right.
is on the existing landfill.
Right,
What's going on?
Right.
The comments are supposed to be to the draft environmental impact
right.
report.
But Terry
for
was
the
using that as a
expansion.
support that an expansion would be more detrimental if the existing one has.
You would have
Right.
to,
Right.
word that
Right.
somehow in
Right.
there. Otherwise,
Right,
yes, we support the Gardner Conservation Commission, but that's a separate issue from the comment period on the DEIR.
Well, when we do even the smallest little issue that we get on an NOI, the state will come in and comment on someone's backyard.
yeah,
So.
yeah, they
if-
review NOI applications.
So if there's a serious concern here
Where-
by the Templeton Board of Selectmen, the place for Gardner Conservation is to go to the state. I mean, the state will come to Templeton to look at,
This is the state,
It is.
Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs.
okay, then how could we do more than the state? I mean, if we have a little issue in somebody in a residential situation and we do a notice of intent, that goes to the state and the state gives us their comments on someone's backyard.
They want to
that's-
know our
that's all
issues
we can
and they want to hold Gardner's feet to fire. Maybe that's not the best way because we're not fighting with Gardner. We're just trying to get everybody to do due diligence and keep people safe. This isn't a war. This isn't a,
The state's
know,
already
this
involved,
is,
and that's all we can do.
do you think a sludge landfill expansion, Christoph, is a good idea in this day and age?
I have no idea. I have
I
no
have a
idea.
couple of questions
I have
when,
no idea about Gardner at all. I mean, that has nothing to do with what we're doing
Oh,
here.
it certainly has a lot to do with what we do here.
We're a butter.
We are
We're a
protected.
butters.
Protectors of the water resources. Their pollution is going to affect our water resources. Period.
All right, well, let's get to that. Let's let Amanda. Amanda, why don't you?
question number one.
Yeah.
Did this expansion project trigger any sort of Interbasin Transfer Act issues?
That's a good question. Right now, they haven't put up any new, if you're talking about the new basins, they haven't even started the expansion, but they want to put 4 quote unquote, I call them compost bins in, and take out 8.75 acres to put those 4 compost bins in over 17 years.
And they also want to remove a natural esker that's actually helping to hold back some of those pollutants from continuing on. They want to take that right out.
The New Jersey. Right down the main roads.
Okay, secondly, what exactly are you asking from the Conservation Commission? Are you asking us to support your letter? Are you asking us to help you refine it? Or do you want us to write a letter from the Conservation Commission to?
Well, and I think if the Conservation Commission wants to write a comment letter, which again, anybody can. I've been working with Terry on this. She did write this letter, but we've been, working together on it. You definitely, if you're up to it, read the draft environmental impact report and make a comment. That would be excellent. We'd appreciate that, Amanda. But it is extensive.
I'm certainly willing to do it on a personal level, but are you asking the Conservation Commission to write a letter as a municipal body?
You know, I
think
was,
so, yes.
I was thinking about that, and I think it would, if you had concerns, like I have concerns, like the select board has concerns, I think that would make a good statement. The more people that write in, the better, because we're human. Plans look good on paper. There are reasons why some people are getting ready to retire. They want to save it for the next generation. They don't want to look in Christoph, this has been 2 years plus in the making of attending meetings. And I have their Concom's from their previous agent, Katie Girton, showed me where it comes within to 1,385 feet of the Otter River. I have pictures of the leachate. I think that's going out now if I'm looking at them.
So Ms. Griffiths, I'd like to continue to go through your letter because I did invite some subject matter experts here. I do have Scott, and it looks like TIMA user is on, and that is Rich Curtis. So if you want their input, they're here.
Yeah, I
You're-
would love to hear Scott if he thinks that.
So we're coming to that. You're after your kind of conservation points there. You say that we are also aware of the groundwater monitoring system present in section 5, but what is unclear is the detailed plan to notify the town of Templeton's administrator select board office should exceedances be found in the landfill monitoring wells. That would be a good point, maybe to ask Scott and to ask Rich what the communication between towns is.
I agree. That's what you're saying. Too many questions, but we should have a detailed set of requests. Like you're saying, it's a comment letter. We could say, you know, we would like a weekly report. We would
Well,
like a monthly report.
Even to your point, you're asking for what is the plan to notify the town of Templeton? And I'm saying Scott's here and Rich is online. Do they already communicate with them or not? Maybe they can help answer that question right now.
Verbally, I've communicated quite a bit with Rob Oliva and Dan Arnold on this project. So we've had open communications. We don't have a set like hazard mitigation plan, but we talk about it.
When did that start? May I ask?
A few months ago.
A few months ago.
Yeah.
So this project's been 2022 in the making. And nobody notified Templeton as a butters, and that's what triggered this action process.
Rich Curtis,
But
do
we
you,
have known about it. No, I mean, they haven't come out and called me and said this is going on, but this project has been going on for years. So it's not like this is a brand new thing that just got dropped on us. We knew it was happening.
And they've been informing you about the old landfill information.
Not so much about the latest reports. I have gotten the latest report from them from the last year's testing.
So we,
Um,
again, would you consider a plan in place to be part of a plan in place when we write the comment?
Oh, yeah.
That would.
Sure, I mean,
Work
open
for you.
communication is fantastic.
and Rich is on Zoom too, if he wants to speak to his communication with Gardner as well. Rich?
Yeah, I have contact with the emergency management director, Paul Topolsky. If there was anything that was gonna be going on hazardous wise, he would be calling me. It's just like their dam issues could very seriously affect Templeton. But we don't have their dams in our hazard mitigation plan. They have them in theirs. They do send us a copy of their reaction plans for if there's a breach to one of their dams for each one of them. But we have, it's just a constant contact between towns with emergency management directors. Just like when we had the Stony Bridge incident where the roadway became a dam. I notified the emergency management directors of both Hubbardston and Barry because they were downstream from us and it could very well have affected both of them. So, our issues are not in their plans. Obviously this sludge landfill is going to be in their plans and the new expansion will be in their plans. And if there's any issues with them, they'll be calling us.
Well, they haven't really up until this point. I mean.
They haven't needed to. There's been
Well,
no,
there's 33 exceedances with pollutants coming out of there that they can't control that are going into the wetlands. Some of them contain 1,4 dioxane. The pond already with its wetlands go into has already tested positive for 1,4 dioxane. I mean, we can all just sit around and wait for it to happen, or we can try to stop them from expanding this sludge landfill when they have alternatives than to spreading it all over the earth. Let's take a lesson
Okay.
from what happened at Mass Natural.
Joanne, I think the problem with what you just said is let's try to stop it. And I thought that Terry was here to get input on a comment letter. Is your intention to stop the landfill expansion?
My intention is to protect Templeton and its residents and its drinking water.
Wonderful.
That is my
But-
intention.
But you just said you're trying to stop it, so
And
I'm
Right. And that
I
is
don't-
my opinion,
As a resident,
okay?
as a resident, they're not issuing any more permits for landfills. And as a resident, absolutely, I would protest this. It's not
Okay.
common sense.
But you're
It's an
here as a
accident
select board
waiting to
member.
happen, but yes, I'm here as a professional,
Okay,
as a select board member, working through how people in Templeton as a butters are gonna be protected, how they're gonna be
Mhm.
notified. I can read you the comment letters from people who are getting sick from the
No.
stench. I can, and part of my
I'm just,
letter
not
is-
necessary. I was just
Okay,
trying to
so-
clarify because Joanne, you said you're trying to stop it, but I thought that Terry was here for the comment
Okay,
letter.
well, sorry, I'm a little bit passionate about this.
And passion's
and-
fine, but I
and-
just want to be
and
clear, we're all on the
I
same
do
page.
not think that they should be issued the permits to expand the sludge landfill when they can't contain the problems they got going on with the existing one.
Right.
Can I
So
ask a
that's
question?
where I'm coming at.
Which landfill are the exceedances at? Are they at the solid waste landfill or are they at the sludge landfill?
The sludge landfill, the where they're gonna be expanding.
That's where the
The
exceedances
closed
are.
one, yeah, the closed one.
So wouldn't the expansion being up to modern standards take care of those exceedances?
I disagree. No,
How-
they don't have any proof of that. There's no evidence of that. in there.
If they're gonna make a modern, up-to-date, highly regulated facility, and they know they have exceedances, they're probably planning to take care of that. With,
Well, I mean-
with the update.
Well,
could put
okay,
that
well,
in our
let's-
letter.
let's plan ahead while all of these pollutants are going into the
My
wetland
question-
areas.
Isn't that what we're doing
My
now? Is, aren't we
question-
planning ahead right
All
now?
that flow into the Otter River, and the Otter River goes right through the town of Templeton. So let's just drag our feet and wait on this till it happens.
Well, no, I mean, this is progress now, isn't it?
Well, I
Isn't
would
this
hope
what
so,
we're
but
trying
this
to
has
do?
been going on for 2 years. But the environmental impact report just was finished, and now it's time to comment. And we need to be on the defensive. I'm really worried about what is gonna happen. Scott, you tell me. If one of the public wells contaminate, what happens?
It would all depend what is contaminated with.
Well, say 1,4 dioxide, what's coming out of there right now?
I can't answer that. I would have to get to DEP and
But
they'd have to.
there are certain contaminants that would totally shut
Shut
that
no
well
hazard
down, correct?
mitigation plan for one.
I don't honestly know that.
Well, it would
I-
have to, you couldn't.
No,
be-
no, it
you
doesn't
couldn't-
necessarily have to. There's treatment plants that treat all kinds of different contaminants in the water. There is no perfectly clean groundwater.
I realize that, and I realize it, but some of the 1,4 dioxane is nasty. This is bad. It's a carcinogen.
Sure.
If you had to take one of your wells offline because it got contaminated with something really bad that came out of there, what happens?
It would be studied and they would come up with a treatment option.
What would happen to the residents in the meantime?
The well would be shut off until the plan was
And how would they
executed.
drink their water?
We have 3 other wells.
They would go to that. I know Wayland has had to tie into the quad and
Mhm.
they got some bad issues with their wells. How long would that take?
I can't answer that.
Well, I guess
So-
the point I'm trying to make is, isn't it better to weigh on the side of caution
Well-
than to have to go and take the chance that our water resources, public drinking water, people with private well waters may be exposed?
How many
to this?
residents do you
Well, if
need?
we already have exceedances, what would your suggestion be to fix it?
Well, they need to clean up what's going on up there before they even think about expanding on it.
And this is where I'm getting at. Maybe this is part of their plan. Have you asked anybody about that?
No, back 2 years ago, they didn't have the problem, the issues that they're having now.
So
Okay, so it's a new problem, so it hasn't had a lot of
Actually-
time to get out there?
actually, this is the second time it's happened. The first time they went out and the DEP found the silt fences were inadequate and they remedied that situation, but the silt fences were left to deteriorate again. And now it's even worse. And I did have pictures
So
from
the silt
March
fences
6th.
were wetlands, though. Right.
They are leaking, so there's and I had pictures when I don't know where I put them, but there are pictures of it leaking down. There's several different issues from the old one, but we're not here to discuss the old.
So
one.
you're
I will discuss the old one if you want it. There's a pond on the top of it. There's siltation leaking down.
I'm
I've
just
been
trying to
out
get
there
through your
3
opening.
times already, and there's a outfall pipe number 2 that there's just a big pond forming at the end from leachate coming out of the thing.
Okay.
But the main problem is there's gaseous odors that are making people sick. And we're abutters and our residents are abutters. And
Hold on,
my
not-
point is, how do we come up with a plan?
I know.
Specific to Templeton, where we're notified and informed on an ongoing basis? Who gets the
I know.
messages?
I'm trying, Ms. Griffiths, hold on. We're on the back of your, I'm trying to get you the input that you want. This is why you came here. You came to talk to the subject matter experts. So we're on the back of your letter. We were talking about the communication. Scott and Rich spoke to the fact that they do communicate with Gardner, and that's how that they would get that. The back of your letter, you're talking about drinking water. Unclear protective actions take place, contaminations of the drinking water, you're talking about wells. Well, you've got Scott here. Scott, do you want to speak on, is drinking water public or is it, at risk with this plan? Do
At
you
this point in time, no. No, and the reason I know that is because the water that I have to test and the test that I have to do on my water monthly is set up by DEP. DEP tells me what I have to test the water for. Every month we test them. Sometimes it's just coliform bacteria, lead, manganese, and sometimes there is a whole entire sheet full of synthetic organic compounds, all kinds of different stuff. Depends on the month, depends on the year. DEP makes that list by checking all the monitoring wells in the area, including the ones in Gardner.
The 4 broken ones.
This is DEP's
The
decision.
broken ones? We have broken
Well,
ones.
and-
I'm not gonna comment on that.
No,
I'm
but-
commenting on the facts that of how we communicate. You're asking about communication. I communicate with DEP monthly. And I do it through water testing, telephone calls, emails. Everything's done through an independent lab system. That lab sends test results directly to DEP. I get the results, but it goes directly to DEP if we're in exceedances or anything like that. Right now, I have 0 notification from DEP about any kind of hazards going into my wells coming from Gardner. I would know that. DEP knows all this stuff that we're talking about. They know where everything is. That's their job. And then EPA steps in on top of them to make sure that DEP is doing their job.
Well,
There's a lot of checks and balances going on here.
in that report, residents had to call DEP to get them to come out there twice because it wasn't being monitored. And there are broken monitoring wells in the current legislature, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about prevention. If I can prevent, and as a resident, if I could prevent this system from going in, that would make my day. As a select board member, I would like to see Rich Curtis notified, Scott notified more often, or even them going out themselves and looking around. I'm getting passionate over this. I have been out there many times. And Gardner isn't always paying attention. We're human beings, for crying out loud. I'm not perfect. That's why I can keep my patience with people, because I know that I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be a subject matter expert on anything. I think everybody knows more than I do. But the one thing I do know is people in the planet over profit, convenience, and feel good. And this is a serious issue.
So your paragraph is, you are unclear what protective actions or procedures would take place in the event of a contamination in Templeton's drinking water. So Scott's right behind you. Is Templeton's drinking water in concern? And if there's a breach, how would you get notified? Right, is that your,
Actually, what Gardner's asking of Scott is what is your hazard mitigations plan if our current and former landfill
Mhm.
screw up, leak, whatever happens.
Yep.
Because human factors come in.
I know,
You
I
can
know.
put anything you want on paper. Accidents happen, mistakes are made. They want to know what his plan is. They want to know what Rich's plan is. They don't want to come up with a plan for Templeton. They have their own, they want to do their own thing. So we either need to ask them to come up, so this is where it gets confusing, I'm thinking, is because reviewed by experts and selected emergency management officials, that was in the original letter. That's, you know, if I had to object side, I might say that's bullshit. Sorry, but we gotta come up with something better than that for our residents. We have to do better. That's all I know. We have to do better than that. We need to either have one here going forward or come up with something in a detailed plan of please notify, and I'm saying please notify the Board of Health, please notify the Select Board office, please notify the Emergency Management Office. Rich, if, no offense to Paul Slofsky, but he's human too, and I don't know that he's gonna call you all the time. I mean, we're just making assumptions and thinking that we're gonna take the easy way out. And I am tired. That is why I'm not running again. Because people want the easy way out and they really don't care about each other. And particularly, they don't even care about me, to tell you the truth. I know who cares about me and who doesn't in this town. And it's pretty darn frustrating. I don't know what else to say. This is a serious issue, evidenced by what's going on right now, and not everybody is taking this the way a lot of the residents are. And I already got a letter for PFA, just from the last meeting. People are concerned about PFAS. How many people do you want? Do you want a 900 thing petition from online for people to come in and say, please do something about this? Don't let it happen. I can do that. We can do that. We can get you more people to come in. If you want more people than just me.
no, Miss Griffiths.
Saying prevention, prevention,
No,
prevention,
but
stop.
no, Miss Griffiths, but the select board wanted you to come to the Conservation Commission for you to get input on your letter and inviting Scott and Rich so that you could get more input from these people into your letter.
And I'm hearing there's nothing wrong. It's all good,
But it's,
and I don't believe it.
okay, but respectfully, you're asking for input and then you're not taking it. I'm not sure. I'm trying to go through the letter with you and give you some feedback.
Okay.
Do you want, you know, Scott's,
He's saying that
Position.
it's wrong, that everything's good, that DEP lets him know, even though that, did you know there were broken monitoring wells on the
When you
county?
say broken monitoring wells, what do you mean by that?
Do you want me to get it out?
I mean, the broken monitoring well
They
could
can't-
literally be a bent pipe.
Well,
That's what a monitoring well
can
basically
you go out and
is.
look?
Am I
You're
allowed
you're
to?
talking
Is
to
it private
Dane,
property?
you're talking to those people. Why not look? What price does Templeton have to pay? If you're not interested, I'll
Okay.
just pack my bags.
It's
And
got
I'm
nothing to do
fine.
with interested. It's got to do with trusting the authorities.
So I
Oh,
had.
yeah,
these are
hey, let's do
If we were
that.
to
These
love
regulating bodies
You
that,
know, well,
that are.
so do we not trust any of them?
let me ask you this question. Would the water department be willing right now to task for 1,4 dioxane? Since we know it's coming out of the Gardner.
I'd have to,
Exceedances, and it would at least, hopefully, we don't find that in there. It would at least give you a baseline.
I would have to pass it through DEP. I can't just go testing the water for anything I want.
Mhm.
I'm on a testing schedule through DEP that they tell me what to test for, but I can ask for that.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Templeton needs to be on the defensive, we really
I
do,
just
because
wanna ask.
Gardner's not gonna do, you know, I mean, add to your hazard mitigation plan. I mean, what that says to me is, hey, if we pollute you, it's your problem, it's your fault, you know, you have no recourse whatsoever. And maybe the town should think about getting an having a consultation with an environmental law firm so that we are set up to be able to fight back if we have to, because they've polluted our water resources.
I'm just
It's
wondering,
not acceptable.
would our budget be able to afford a contamination? Is that an?
That's a very vague statement. A contamination of what? And
wells
to what
or
concentration?
So I was told that if our aquifer gets contaminated, if one aquifer gets contaminated, it affects all our aquifers.
There's
I don't
multiple
know.
aquifers in town, so that's not necessarily true, no.
Well, I was told that it did, so that's not necessarily true. Is there an aquifer over there? That's not clay?
Yeah.
Protected by clay?
I'd have to look into the report.
Swap report?
Can you spell that chemical exactly for me?
It's 1,
We need to.
4
We
dioxane,
Make a plan.
Dioxane, ANE?
DIOXAN.
What do you think, eh?
1,4
It's gonna
dioxane,
be a while, unless you wanna.
and that's coming out of the sludge landfill, not the solid waste landfill.
To my knowledge, yes, right, Terry?
Be careful right there.
One what?
The one,
Yeah,
comma
the
4,
car.
yeah.
You know, I know what Scott's saying, because I used to do the water tank when I worked on the water department.
Okay,
All right, so
we're gonna have to wrap this up. Amanda, anything further? I feel like we haven't included you.
Yeah, so there is an appeal out to Mass DEP on this project. They have not yet issued a superseding order of conditions, so it's really legally in their hands. If this goes through, they're waiting for the public comment period for the draft environmental impact report to end before they make a final decision.
That's what this is, Amanda.
right.
That's what this is.
That's what we're
So,
talking about, the
Thank
comment
you
on
for
the-
all of the information that you've been giving us. It's very informative. And I urge any citizens that have comments on this 441 page document to please send it in to MEPA. Is that the right acronym? Yeah, MEPA, NEPA. It does seem to be a very divisive conversation. And there is a lot of information in this document, but I don't know that the Conservation Commission as a municipal body has much we can do at this point. But as private citizens, absolutely.
All right.
Well, it could, you know, I mean. I would support Terry's letter, her comment letter. Definitely as far as protecting our water resources go, because that's what the Conservation Commission's all about.
Can I answer this then?
You can give it to me at any point, yeah.
I read it. The town of Templeton receives its water supply from 4 wells in one zone. 2. The wells are well number 01G, Otter River well, well 04G, Birch Hill well number 1, well 05G, Birch Hill well number 2, and well 06G, Sawyer Street well. The Otter River well is located approximately 1,600 feet west of the Otter River. The well was installed in 1950 and is 55 feet deep. The Birch Hill wells are located within the Army Corps of Engineers Birch Hill Flood Control Area. Birch well is number 1 is a 50-foot deep gravel packed well installed in 1971. Birch Hill well number 2 is a 62.5 feet deep gravel packed well that was installed in 1974. Well number 1 is located on the eastern bank of Trout Brook, while well number 2 is located on the western bank of Trout Brook. Each well is located approximately 100 feet from the brook. The Sawyer Street well is gravel packed well located in East Templeton at the northern end of Sawyer Street. The well was installed in 1985 and is 90 feet deep. Each well has a zone 1 of 400 feet. Please bear with me. The wells are located in an aquifer with a high vulnerability to contamination due to absence of hydrologic barriers that can prevent contaminant migration. Please refer to the attached map to view the boundaries of the Zone 2. The wells are treated to remove chlorinated volatile organic compound. For the current information and monitoring wells, blah, 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 sorry. The Zone 2 for Templeton extends into Gardner and Winchendon. The Zone 2 is a mixture of forest, residential, light commercial, and light industrial land uses. Refer to attached map for details. I was trying to, the overall ranking of susceptibility to contamination for the system is high based on the presence of at least one high threat land use within the water. There was a part that I was trying to read to Scott is their high vulnerability due to contamination due to the absence of, again, hydrogeological barriers. Is that, Scott, when you read that, what did you think?
As far as the contamination
Yeah,
possibilities?
yeah.
Well, I mean,
In this
it says it
current
right there, it spells it
situation.
out very well, but again, that's why there's monitoring wells all over the place. To catch this before it turns into a big problem.
And can we afford it if it happens?
That's a very vague statement. Is a small contamination, a large contamination, a small contamination of human waste versus something coming out of the solid waste landfill. You know, if there's human waste that gets into the well, honestly, it's fairly easily treatable with high doses of chlorine. The contaminants coming out of the solid waste landfill are much more troublesome to me. The heavy metals and who knows what's been in that unlined landfill for the past 100 years. That landfill is much more troubling to me than the solid waste landfill.
So this board can't do anything about the gaseous odors either?
We're a wetlands board. So I was trying to get through your letter, but essentially, you know, the paragraph on the back is regarding drinking water. We're not drinking water, he's drinking water. Then your next paragraph was about air quality. We're not air quality. So we really can, as like Amanda said, as a municipal body, we only can speak to the wetlands, and your wetlands in your comment letter is really at the beginning. Right? So the other people, Rich Curtis for, you know, hazard mitigation, water department, maybe Board of Health, I don't know about air quality, but we can't speak to things that we're not subject matter experts on. I don't want them to speak to air quality about you. We don't deal with air quality. I mean, you wouldn't want them to speak to you about air quality. We don't know about air quality, and we're not speaking about drinking water. Scott is your contact person for drinking water. So if Scott's the one testing the water, he's the one that you want to talk to about drinking water.
But and I beg to differ a little bit that I feel the Conservation Commission has substantial job as far as keeping our water resources clean before they get to people's wells.
For sure, but we're not talking, I wasn't speaking out of turn to trump Scott. I'm not speaking on wells and aquifers and all that. I'm speaking about wetlands and the rivers and
Right,
like
we all
Christoph said.
contribute to that.
So would you be
But-
able to speak to the
That's a
end
source.
result of 1,385 feet near the Otter River? Is that something that the Conservation Commission?
The
could issue?
Conservation Commission deals with applications within
Right.
200 feet of a river. And this is over 1,000.
So what I'm hearing is,
But you're here for your comment letter, and I thought you were here to get input.
Yeah. But-
Have you received any?
the only
We're-
thing I've
we're trying
received is
to-
that you really can't comment on it, except that you agree with Gardner's current.
Well, I can't, and nor should they comment on air quality or drinking water, because that's not why they're on this board. Scott is your contact person for drinking water. I would assume air quality would be Board of Health, but and then Rich would be hazard mitigation. You need to talk to like the individual people regarding their individual subjects.
Mhm. Got
That
it.
makes sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So do you want to correct the paragraph? Your,
I feel at this point, as their agent, I do not have a unified agreement from them. I mean, somebody can make a motion, but I, at this point, do not feel, from Amanda's comments and Christoph's comment, we as a municipal board, can't cohesively exist. I get from Joanne's opinion that she does support your letter. And I haven't heard from these two. So no, I can't. I would need a cohesive agreement from them. And then you would need to get Scott and or his supervisor's opinions for the water portion. Right? When we were at the select board meeting, they said, come and get input from the subject matter experts for your comment letter.
It's funny that Mike got his done by AI. It's actually boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And I do believe this is not gonna help Templeton, and prevention is the way, but you know, it is what it is.
We're trying, Terry. I'm not sure, I thought you were here for input, but
Well.
I'm not sure where to go from here.
I told
know?
the select, board, the Conservation Commission is
Yeah.
not expert on this.
For sure, but we could still provide her input, but
We certainly could
I'm trying.
provide some kind of support, and support her letter. Because all in all, it comes down to what we're supposed to be doing, and that is protecting our water resources. And I don't
I
care
know,
if
but we
it's
can't
not in
support her whole
Templeton.
letter because we can't
Everything's-
speak on everything.
Everything is connected. You have to read the report.
I can't support the water quality if the water department doesn't.
Right, but to make a comment letter on environmental, isn't that what we do, environmental impact report, then you would need to read it.
Would it be
Again,
worth
I
writing the letter and like emitting the air quality and emitting the water, the well water, and focusing more on the wetlands and what this board, just kind of tighten the letter up a little bit more, so it pertained to this board a little bit.
I mean,
Come
otherwise,
to your board
Selectively.
and see what they want.
otherwise her
Or do
comment
that.
letter is how it is and
When's
she
your-
submits it on behalf of the select. board.
Tomorrow,
Wanting to
no,
know.
Wednesday morning, excuse me, 9,
At the.
at the office, yeah.
Just have her moved on.
I don't know, you'd have to talk to John Driscoll tomorrow morning.
Y'all, I do have to get the kids to bed, so,
Okay.
if we could wrap it up.
Yep,
Okay,
No motion?
there's no motion on the table.
okay. And anybody have anything else to say from the members or?
Well, I would definitely, support her comment letter to the draft environmental impact report. As we are an environmental board and we're trying to protect our water resources, I think it's important. But if you don't feel comfortable about doing that because you have not read the environmental impact report, and I haven't read the whole thing either. It's very technical and it's very complicated. But I have been sitting in on meetings and we have been going over this report. So the only way I would say is that the Conservation Commission would support her comment letter as far as protecting water resources, the environment and water resources.
I wouldn't recommend you support the letter as it sits because you don't have the support of the water department or TEMA. Right, so if the comments that she made in her comment letter are not accurate regarding drinking water, we don't want to support that. Right, if Scott's here and Scott's speaking to drinking water, and the comments that she put in her comment letter don't reflect what he feels in his water testing and his aquifers and his wells, then why should you, as the commission, I'm just saying, why should you support the drinking comment as it stands when that's not what we're here to speak on? We're not subject matter experts on that. That's for the water
Okay.
department.
So about the environmental impact report, just say it's 1B and they go on and on about something. Well, you can comment to that. Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah.
You can put any comment you want,
Yeah, Right.
But if this board doesn't want to support what she has to say, well, that's their prerogative. And if something happens down the line and you have to take a step back and go, you know what? Maybe we should have supported that because it looks like there could be an environmental impact especially with water resources, and that's what we do.
I want to be clear to the public. Terry, you are welcome to submit that letter with or without the Conservation Commission support. You are welcome to still submit that. You're in the comment period, and the select board advised you to get more information. That's why you're here, to get more information. I still think you're gonna go back to your select board and they're gonna tell you to submit it.
I just
With
need-
or without the support, you know what I'm saying? She should still submit her letter. This is how she feels.
Absolutely,
You know,
I agree.
It's if she's getting backing on it or not. She's welcome to submit those comments as is. but-
Anybody can.
But the Conservation Commission doesn't have to sign off as
But
supported.
we
by the
can, we can
Right.
So
submit
take your
comments
name
too.
right out
It's
of it.
not like,
It doesn't seem to be a unified agreement on your comment letter as is.
I've only
The
heard
Board
from
of-
two board.
well,
Email.
but I don't know how you can say that because you have not read the report.
I'm not comfortable with her comment letter. I'm not even talking about her report.
That's what she's commenting on.
I can't comment on
You can't
water.
comment on it because you
Scott's-
haven't read it.
Scott's the subject matter expert that's here to speak on
She's
water.
commenting
drinking water.
on this report. You have not read it. Doesn't mean that we can't be in support of her commenting on this. It's not like it's gonna come back on you. You can say anything you want on this.
Mhm.
It's just supporting her saying she's trying to protect the town of Templeton.
Mhm.
And we do support that effort. You know, they're the ones that have to put down the logistics of everything
Mhm.
and the research of everything. We read what they put down and then we comment on that. And if you haven't read the DEI report, then you can't,
Then we
I mean,
can't comment.
I wouldn't recommend us commenting
Right.
unless we read the DEI report.
Okay.
But I'm
let's- so
supporting
let's not
her.
comment.
She has read it. She's someone in our town who we respect, who's trying to protect Templeton. And I would, as a conservation commissioner, absolutely support her letter.
Any other comments?
Well, I'll make a motion that we support Terry's letter.
I think the Board of Selectmen is speaking for the town in terms of what they want to comment to the city of Gardner on. And that, insofar as that goes, that would be in their court. What we do support is the Wetlands Protection Act. That's what this board is for, specifically in Templeton. But insofar as the wetlands in Templeton could be impacted by that project, without any of us being experts, without any of us having reviewed the 550 pages, and knowing that Mass DEP is in charge of this project or governing it to some extent, if we amended that motion to say that we were in support of protecting the wetlands in Massachusetts, specifically in Templeton, and have concerns about what we hear going on in Gardner, I think that would be easier for this board to vote on.
I support that.
I would make that motion, or I would second your motion if you
Amended.
amend it.
I
Okay,
think
this-
that's a good amendment. Thank you, Christoph.
I missed it completely.
Is there a second?
It was a second, Krista.
I
Who's got
seconded
second?
Joanne's.
I don't even know what the motion is. I have protecting wetlands in Templeton, and I
Okay,
forgot your second point.
Yeah, the motion is that this is an amended motion of Joanne's, which if I'm misspeaking it, tell me, Joanne, which is that as the Templeton Concom,
Mhm.
we're here to protect the wetlands in the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act,
Mhm.
specifically in Templeton.
Mhm.
But insofar as this project in Gardner might impact our wetlands in Templeton, we have concerns about it. That being said, we're not experts to the point of reading a 550 page document. Everybody knows that. But from our limited scope of experience, we would like to express concerns for the wetlands in Templeton that we are on this board to protect. And if we,
I'll rewatch the video.
yeah, fine,
I'll rewatch the video.
but we get the idea.
I got the idea.
So maybe you could ask for, I don't know how you would ask.
Any
for-
further discussion on a motion to, as the Concom, protecting the Wetlands Protection Act specifically in Templeton, and the Gardner project may impact Templeton wetlands, and we express our concern. Krista?
As a butters? We're a butters. Our wetland, we're a
Mhm.
butters.
It's a tricky thing we're trying to do here because we're trying to speak as a conservation board. So I think we've made progress. Let's go with the progress we've made. We've got a motion on the table. We've got a second. Let's have a vote.
Amanda?
No.
Here's my order. Joanne?
Yes.
Dave?
I abstain. No.
Abstain.
George? And
Amanda, do you want to, before I vote, do you want to comment on that or do you not want to?
No, just note that I've read the entire report and I am in fact a subject matter expert. And I do not believe that this letter articulates all of our concerns as a board together. That's all I've got.
And Crystal?
I'll say yes.
I have no idea if that passes or not.
We do
I guess that's it.
understand what,
What happened?
yeah,
We have two
Like her
abstain.
concerns as a board, but
We have two abstain. Is that a pass?
No, it's a no.
I don't understand. I have a no, a
Abstain
yes,
is
and
a no.
abstain.
Well,
and
it-
abst- I have a no, yes, abstain, abstain. That's never happened.
A no. On the
Well,
abstain.
there was one no,
It's a no.
there was one no and two yeses.
Why are there abstains? I'm very confused. Okay,
So I don't know how the abstain plays
I
in,
don't know
because
how the
abstain
abstain
can
plays.
be either way.
I know. I don't understand. I don't know how that carries. I will have to.
what, may I ask why you abstain?
No,
Hey, George.
Is it, did you guys abstain because you just didn't have enough information?
I mean,
Not a chemist.
so if this passes, if we have two abstain, then we have three people voting, and out of three, we have two yeses, then I think that means it passed. So that, I think that means, as a conservation commission, all five of you support this now.
Right, because there was two yeses, one no, and two abstain.
You'd have to see what the quorum is.
Well,
My.
a quorum is more than
Yeah.
50%.
Going to,
A quorum is more than 50% of the board, so you have to have three people voting. Three people voted, there was two yes and one no. That means is that it passes.
Yeah, that's how it works out.
George.
Huh?
It's a no or abstain.
Yeah.
No?
Hmm?
Is it a no or abstain?
He abstained and you abstained.
Abstain, you mean you're making no vote?
A no vote.
A no vote.
That's my understanding. So it's two no's.
No,
And her, what?
no. You have,
Because we have the full board.
no,
here.
no.
You're not
You're
voting.
not voting, you're not even counted.
You're
as a
not
vote.
voting.
Abstain,
There's only
not
three
voting.
people that voted, Amanda, Joanne, and Christoph voted. That's it. You two don't even count. It's like you're not even in the room by abstaining.
Okay.
Okay, now we.
So it passed.
Yeah.
So the Conservation Commission supports. Not her letter, but that statement, Christoph,
Yeah, just the state.
just the statement.
It's just our opinion. Which is mixed, obviously, but I make a motion that we move to the next topic.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for commentary. Scott, thank you.
Who's writing that letter?
yeah, you're very welcome.
You,
I think some-
you know that we do this because we really care, right? Like, you know, we're really concerned, we really care, and we, about Templeton
Okay.
and,
He
you know, we
had
want
something to
what's
say.
best.
What we.
And I know
I-
you're gonna be the same way too.
Right, a water operator's mission statement is to
Right, so
provide
number
clean,
9,
safe drinking
Chairman.
water.
chair member,
Oh, you're already,
This operated for 13 years. I'm
Oh.
raising a family in this town.
motion.
I don't want dirty water either.
Right.
no,
I don't. If that well is contaminated, it's my name on it.
they're talking.
I don't.
For him.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Which
So-
are talking
so
about.
this-
Yes,
Can't
it
close
just
on them
worries me
talking.
what's coming out of there. It is so close to us. You know, is that gonna end up contaminating, you know, that's my worry.
So this what? So this, he was about to say, so this,
Well, I just been jotting down those little, but I think. I think the first thing I should do tomorrow is call DEP directly. And get a better game plan. I'm gonna ask them. If I can test for 1-4 dioxane. Just to,
That would be great.
just to find out,
Thank you. And then it'll give us a baseline.
because I can't tell you today, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
I can't, I have guidelines I have to follow,
Okay, I understand.
and I have to report to DEP. DEP is my boss. No matter if it's John Driscoll, my commissioners, or anybody else,
Right.
because of
You,
my.
you have proper procedure you have to do.
I have to follow it,
I totally understand that.
and I'm happy to do so.
Thank you.
I'm not here in opposition, but I trust the system. I know it's not perfect, there is no perfect system. But trust me, when you screw up with DEP, you know about it.
I know the good weather's coming.
I've had very, very minor infractions, I get called the next day. So I have a hard time believing that if there wasn't a substantial threat to our drinking water, that I wouldn't already know about it.
Okay, thank you.
and you're specifically talking about the closed landfill. The closed landfill, not the.
No, I'm talking about all three of them. I'm talking about the solid waste landfill, the sludge landfill that's closed, and the expansion. Because to me, that's just one big group of possibilities that need to be monitored, and they are monitored. So I'm trying to. My feeling, because I've worked with plenty of engineers and I've done water treatment plant upgrades, things like that. If there is things leaching out of the the closed sludge landfill, I have a very hard time thinking that the expansion isn't going to address those issues. Because if you know about it, they know about it.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that's in the program. So when you wanna stop this landfill, you're essentially stopping any kind of mitigation that could fix it at the same time, because they're not gonna say, well, let's do a little mini project and fix just this one little problem. They're gonna look at the whole thing and fix this little problem and that little problem, fix these broken monitoring wells, and do this and do that. And they're gonna bring it up to modern standards, which are very tight, trust me. Well, I shouldn't say trust me, but from a water standpoint, the new standards, they're coming out constantly.
And this is what that comment period is about. We can ask that question. We can ask the
Should do those
question
water
if
tests.
they are going to correct. With the input of the new system, are they gonna correct the
Used to.
mistakes of the old? We can ask that question
can.
in the.
Right,
comment
because I mean,
period.
at this
Weird.
point, they've been negligent. As far as with what's existing with the 33 exceedances and then finding the 1,4
I
dioxane.
mean, that was like
I
a
mean,
gem.
so, they have, to me, they need to take care of the problems they have going on there before they even think about expanding the rest of,
But it could be in their plan. This is kind of what I'm getting at. You know, if
but
you
that's
know they,
something we don't know.
right, but now you got your comments and you can ask them.
Maybe it could be a time.
Have a good night.
One more
Thank
thing,
you.
Leonard, thank you.
Terry, is there a comment period timeframe?
What's
Like,
next?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Next thing is,
The 26th of.
next meeting, Monday, 5/19 at 6:30 PM. Is there anything else I would like to need to talk about on the board? Anything going on? No? All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You want to second it, Amanda?
I'll second it.
All right.
On a motion to adjourn, how do you vote, Amanda?
Aye.
Gwen?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
George?
Yep.